Alright, time for run number 3 of Skullstorm. We're going to do Bones. This one's going to be tough. This might take multiple videos of efforts and a lot of early failed runs because we don't have an innate way to beat the grizzly bears, but we also don't have an innate way to beat random fights, right? We have no damage. We have 0 damage from the deck. So, for instance, if we see like Warren and Beehive in the opening 2 cards, if we take them, we just lose. Okay, Beehive can create bees. Technically, you could sneak through 1 damage, and you might be able to snag a win if you could wall the other squares and not have your bees get killed. But, like, fundamentally, we lose if we don't have damage. So we are really limited in what we take. Okay. We have a campfire and a sack if wanted. Good to know. But we also aren't committed to anything. We don't have any 1 or 0 drops, so if we see a good 0 or 1 drop, maybe like a Mantis or something like that, we could build around that. This is not a very good deck to grab alpha because we already have this bones requirement. Each of our things cost 1 bones, and that means as each one dies, we can play the next one, which is great, but it also means we can't sacrifice them all at once. Okay. None of these 1 drops are good. I don't think we can build around any of these 1 drops. They're very bad 1 drops. Like River Otter, Kingfisher, and Sparrow are all in contention for like worst cards in the game. Mealworm is kind of a blank in your deck. Like it doesn't usually hurt anything. It doesn't get in the way of Fair Hand Mechanic where you're guaranteed a 0 or 1 drop, but it also doesn't help anything. So the impact cards, Worker Ant, we're not going to build around. So the only cards here that could have impact are Wolf, Direwolf, Pup, and Alpha. We're definitely going to take Direwolf Pup because we know that can potentially give us an answer. And also, it's not that hard for us to play. But actually, right now, we basically can't play anything because we can't create blood without having sacrificed to our higher cost stuff, which means we can't create bones. So I'm going to take Wolf here. And this means our first turn play every game is going to be to pass. Our second turn play is to draw squirrel, double squirrel into whatever 2 drop we have, hope that keeps us alive long enough that we can then egg into our other 2 drop, and then hold. And so both Wolf and Direwolf Pup, I think, are good 2 drops. I think these are good 2 drops, but we need them to land quickly and well. We could get rid of one of our eggs. We could sack an egg onto another, but I think I'd rather use the campfire. I think you can sack an egg onto another. Maybe you can't if they have the exact same abilities. You can move them onto something else. All right, we got the +1. So there's the question of which do we put it on. And Direwolf Pup right now can do 4, Wolf can do 3. Getting up to 5 or 6 damage is clearly the critical thing here. And also this means the first turn it lands, it does a little more damage, which is pretty helpful, both for avoiding, for finishing something off so we don't get killed. Oh, our next squares are going to be horrible. We should probably clear items. I don't want to get a terrible 1 drop off the gold pick, though, so we might go left. We won't have enough to pick up. Now we should go right and grab the items. We should get our first item refill. Because if we get good items, our Direwolf Pup gives us a shot against the first boss. Now you might say, it should just beat the first boss. What are you talking about? But we have no other damage. So we can't necessarily get through the first phase with just the wolf. Here we don't have to draw, that's pleasant, because we can use our items to get the wolf out. So this fight will be easy, but you can see where this is going to be tough. The thing is, if we get a good 1 drop, we're going to be guaranteed it in our hands, which is amazing. And I'm going to put it here so it kills the ant next turn, because things move to the right. So if we get a good 1 drop, we can play it reliably. This is beautiful, because we'll be at 6 by the time the wolf next attacks. And now that we've created... How do we want to sequence this? Yeah, let's play the Direwolf Pup this turn. And now that we've played one of our 2 drops, we create enough that we can play our eggs, and our eggs is just... It's really quick mana supply, right? So we're going to be able to ramp into things pretty quickly and pretty well. And you can see this fight went great, and we can see some of the strengths, but we really need this added power. If we can get a good 1 drop, maybe like Mantis, something that has solid damage output, try to get nice ability on that, then we're really set to go, because putting out the mantis for an aqua squirrel will create a bone. So like the ideal thing here would be if we got mantis with an ability, because this will give us a random insect or the gold pelt. If we got mantis with an ability, that'd be great. If we get a random ant with a shitty ability, that would suck. Okay. Now actually, we should maybe keep an eye out now for the Trader Trapper, because this gets us a rare card. We normally don't have access to rare cards in Skullstorm except through Golden Pelts, but it means we could get a Mantis God, which would be the best one drop. We're gonna refill items. We don't need the campfire. We need items. All right, that's not it. Let's take. We should probably. No, our wind. I was thinking we should take the pliers. It gives us more outs. But actually, if we can get through with the dire wolf, we're fine anyway, and the wolf can't be helped quite enough. So let's take the squirrel. Just make sure we can play a 2-drop immediately. And the scissors. Okay. Now we can beat a boss if we have enough power to get to its second phase with dire wolf pup alive. Now we do have another item refill, so I could use the squirrel here. I should feel free to use the squirrel here. I'm going to be jumping in front of things, that's fine. Yeah, let's just use the squirrel and make this super clean. But yeah, so we need to be able to beat the first phases, which means right now the wolf needs to do all the fighting to beat the first phase. And the wolf cannot beat the first phase on its own, or it would need to land at exactly the right moment to pick stuff off and not be picked off in response. So that's not, we don't right now have a very convincing answer to the first boss, not actually because we can't beat the second stage, but because we're too weak to beat the first. And that's really like the goal of this egg deck is you need an answer to the second part. You also need an answer to the first. But once you get those, the eggs are just very nice cards to play. They're just cheap things that get you options. So we could go left and guarantee probably a 1-drop, but I want choices. I don't want our only 1-drop to be a bad 1-drop. I think I'm going to go right. Maybe we shouldn't have used the item, so we'd have the option to pick up a Pack Rat here, because Pack Rat is power. You know, a 2/2 for 2 is bad value, but it's kind of good value for us. These are not usable 1-drops. I don't want these to be our only 1-drop. I don't want these to be guaranteed in our hand. It would be better than nothing. I have to think we can pick up something better later. Now, we could get rid of one of our eggs if we wanted fewer eggs. We could sack its ability onto the pelt or the river snapper. Either one works. Or we can just get another item and see what we get. I want our deck to be not super thin. So I'm going to go this way. And we don't have anything that can use the bones. The fan... I guess the fan means if we get the dire pup out and it's being blocked and we need the damage, we get it through. All right, let's take the fan, but I'm probably just going to chuck it at a random point. What are we getting next? We'll probably go left to get both the sack and the fire. Now, if we go right, we don't have to lose a card, right? We can get the wood carver, and we probably... I don't think we actually are trying to lose cards, weirdly. Because we don't have any problems to fix that removing cards cuts, right? We don't have a 0 or 1-drop that's like the weakness of our deck. All right, so this is one of those ones where we just have to take a hit because we can't, in an unclumsy way, get up to our 2 costs. So we're going to take 2 here, and then we're going to take a 3rd next turn because we're only going to be able to block 1. So the question is, do we want to start picking away at the bullfrog, or do we want to just trade even with the kingfisher and be taking 1 a turn from the bullfrog? I think, because we might draw another curious egg, in which case we die if we block the bullfrog, because we won't have a way to block the kingfisher. We can sack to block with the curious egg the bullfrog if needed. So if we run even with the kingfisher, we now, even if things go wrong, have a few turns we survive. So this was the make sure we hold. And it turns out we didn't need to do this, but I think it was the correct thing to do. Just made it solid, and now we can take out the bullfrog. There's a case for killing the beehive. No, there isn't. We died this turn. This way seems, yeah. I like what I did here. I made sure we wouldn't lose. now we draw something. Okay. Just heal for a bit. And I think they have nothing else to play. I was wrong. I am very tempted. Oh, I should have drawn a squirrel. I was going to say I'm very tempted to sack Squirrel plus River Snapper into Direwolf Pup this turn. That would do 5 damage, which wouldn't kill, and then we'd get more overkill damage next turn from having had the Direwolf Pup out. But I'm an idiot, so that didn't happen. I may as well get slightly more overkill damage here, but obviously this is very minor difference. But would have gotten more if I'd done it last turn, as would be proper. But again, maximizing overkill, not the most important strategic part. So I think we want to go right so we don't cut any cards from our deck. Which is weird. Normally we want to cut down to the cream of the crop. Okay, I mean, these are terrible 1-drops, and the Cockroach is an incredible card for when we get a good 1-drop, so we can make it recurring. But for now, we don't have that. Obviously, Gek would be amazing, but we don't really have access to that. Okay, none of this is good or relevant to us. Just not relevant at all. Let's take one of the creatures just to remove those from the set, so we're more likely to see canine or insect later. And I don't really want to sack something, like a wolf that comes back to our hand, but it's just hard for us to pay 2 again. Like, it's an upgrade, but it's not that big an upgrade. And we can save the Cockroach for something else later, perhaps. Alright, what could use defense? Probably the Direwolf Pup, right? Something that makes sure that doesn't die as easily is pretty important. You might say I should have put the Cockroach ability on the Direwolf Pup, but once it evolves to Direwolf, if it dies and has Undying, it comes back to your hand as a Direwolf, which costs 3, and 3 mana is just really expensive to do. So I'd rather do something like this that makes it able to stay on the board more easily than something that means we never lose it, but we have to replay it. Alright, we got the Angler first. Better than the Trapper. Maybe better for our deck than the Prospector. Maybe this is good to see first. Yeah, I don't mind. Again, I should really pay attention to when they tell us the world, so I know what the boss will be, so I'm better organized for said boss. Alright, we have to pass our first turn, but happily, this is a boss where we're happy to pass our first turn anyway. We still haven't in any of these videos gotten the Kingfishers to line up. Sometimes they'll be in the same row, and when you stick an Auto Squirrel in front, or an Aqua Squirrel in front, you take them both out at once, which is delightful. Sadly, them hooking stuff doesn't get us a bone. So we always go to 1 here. We don't want to put things on the board, or we want to delay putting things on the board, because as soon as we put anything on the board, we have to start distracting them from stealing it. So we basically need now, I'm going to put out the higher damage card. It gives us less time. 4, 3. It does give us less time. But I also don't want this fight to go too long. River Snapper is the disciplined play. Alright, let's do the River Snapper. So we'll survive, but we're going to have to start sacking Aqua Squirrels every second turn. Whenever he puts the hook out, yeah. I think I will put it in front of the Kingfisher just to reduce his damage. And now we just need to draw the Direwolf Pup, and then the Scissors wins. So we got to draw main deck. Maybe we'll throw the Golden Pelt their way. That way we can keep drawing from the main deck, because we don't want to deck ourselves doing this. I have lost fights to the Angler because we decked ourselves. But if we have things to give him, like the Golden Pelt, or maybe some of the Curious Eggs, because he always takes the last card you played, we can do more draws from the deck we actually want to be drawing from, because we need to get to our Direwolf Pup. And you'll notice we don't have many Aqua Squirrels left. Or not too many. Alright, so we'll probably give him a Curious Egg next turn. We don't actually have any... we have 2 bones, so that means we actually wouldn't be able to immediately get step out, but I want to keep drawing from this deck. We get the Direwolf Pup. Okay, Discord's calling me. I'm going to ignore that. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our Direwolf out. And then we're going to play the other Curious Egg over here. Oh, it'll get itself killed. I'm an idiot. So we're going to play both our Curious Eggs. It doesn't really matter. Because if it dies, they might go back to grabbing the Direwolf. I forget exactly how that works. Oh, they're both going to die. I should have put it somewhere else. If we get our Direwolf Pup taken, this is a hilarious way to lose. But I think, yeah, we don't. You can see them hovering, though. They're still ready to take the next thing. I forgot exactly how that worked. I almost blew that. If that had a certain way of counting it, I would have just lost this, which would have been horrible. But as is, we get there. I'm going to use the fan because why not? Yeah, so someone misclicked call on Discord. All right, so mostly we're in good shape here. We have answers to the boss. We're ready if we see a good one-drop to really abuse Fair Hand Mechanic. We can put Cockroach on it. We can be ready to go. This is a deck that if a good one-drop comes, we're in great shape. Okay, well, it's definitely the Cockroach here. We can't really play the Cockroaches, but we should start attaching them to other things, especially now we have two. But again, if we see a good one-drop, we put the Cockroach on it, we start upping its stats, we're in great shape. We also want an item refill. So we're going to go to the right here. Fantastic draw, because now we can get rid of our gold pelt, and we can get a rare. We haven't been able to run any rares. Are we actually going to beat this first try? That would be crazy. Yeah, we got the Mantis God. Mantis God is the best card in the game. Mantis card is also the best one-drop in the game. Now we really would love to have a sacrifice like in the top left. Because if we can put Undying on Mantis God, then it's just going to do everything we could ever want. Alright, we got the Turner. That gives us an answer to the boss. Also, the Campfires are really good if we have Mantis God, because upping its stats, if that's a 2-1, it hits 3 squares. It insta-wins any fight. If we can up its attack, it's over. You can see it's guaranteed to be in our hand now, and we can just start pummeling immediately with it, and it's going to do 3 damage a turn. Now here the mole can't actually stop it, so they have a while to build up their board, which is a little annoying. But, alright, we're not drawing great, but the Mantis should be enough. I mean, 2 Ravens does outpace the Mantis. But we did have a slight head start. Please draw something. That ain't it. Do we die? Did we just die? We're taking 4 next turn and we're doing none. We just died. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't draw other cards. Yeah, this is just one of those ones where the game kills you. That's a huge shame. This was so well set up. This was so well set up. I can squirrel, but that can't block because they're going to be flyers. I can turn, but if I turn, the mole jumps in front, so I still don't get any damage through. Even if I did get damage through, it wouldn't be relevant. Even if I'd put the Mantis God center right, which I probably should have, I get through 1 damage here, but that's not enough. Yeah? Wow. That's horrible luck. So we were so set this run, right? We put Undying on the Mantis God, we're guaranteed to draw it, or we give it plus to stats. Oh, that hurts. That hurts. We were like, and then we wouldn't have been able to double draw Cockroaches. We were 1 draw away from this being really close to just a trivial win. And, like, it really should have been. Wow. Now, just because we lost a great run doesn't mean we'll get like terrible luck moving forward, but it always feels like that was one we wasted. But I don't actually think that one had mistakes. Like, if I had gotten fewer than the two cockroaches, we would have had other worse draws. Okay. These cards are pretty great. Skink and Magpie are excellent, but we have to remember we need power. The power options here, however, are terrible, so I am just going to take Skink and Magpie. We're just going to go for what I think the best cards are, but it's worth remembering I really need more cards now. So for instance, my default is to go to the right here and sack, but I don't want to be losing cards, especially cards that can do damage. To put Magpie on the Skink, because then the Skink both draws whatever card I need. It's a great one draw, but we have to keep cards. Undying's pretty good, or Infinite Lives. Pretty good. The Reptile Totem is pretty good too, because there's a very good chance Skink is going to be our fair hand mechanic one drop. I'm going to take Reptile, I could be wrong there. But we have very little damage output. It's good the Skink can dodge, but we need Skink and Magpie to do 2 damage between them. And that's tough to do. I mean, to do all the damage between them. Oh, and we can't kill their Elk Fawn. That's horrible. We probably lose again. I'm going to get the Magpie and the Skink out quickly. Normally I'd delay, but we need all the damage we can get because we only have 2 damage dealers. It's really easy to lose these runs early. I'm going to put the Magpie in front of the mole just so something can't hit it immediately. And I'm going to put the Skink here so it will block the first hit from the elk and dodge away. And then we're going to need the other, we're going to need the eggs to block stuff. And I decided to take the first hit from the elk fawn rather than from the elk, because I think that's less damage total. Yeah, so that'll be a second blocker. We get through 2 here. I think we win by blocking, yeah, so that dies. But now the mole's going to dodge away. We don't want to see. And then our Magpie gets killed. And it takes us so many turns for the Skink to do the final damage. Yeah, we're going to lose here. Alright, again, I think this one I really did do all that was humanly possible, which is pretty easy to figure out because there wasn't much. But the mole will never not be in front of the Skink. And we can only block one of the others. And we just can't outpace 2 elk fawns, so I'm just going to die. Alright, 0 for 2. So you can see, the danger of not having power really is trouble. Oh, Skink Magpie is such a good start for most decks, but this one really needs power. One thing I really like is that the first 3 cards of your deck are like, they don't determine everything, but they do determine a lot. So with some starts, certain cards are really appealing, and with some starts, they're not appealing at all. And I think that's a really nice variation between the starting decks, is that they really are different enough that each deck does want different things. Man, that first round we should have won, though. Very unlucky. I could have gotten rid of one of the cockroaches, but that's before we had gotten the second one. I definitely shouldn't turn down the second cockroach. Like, we wouldn't have the Mantis God setup working near as well if yeah. Normally when I lose, there's at least something. I think that one I just played really well. I think we're actually, for 2 runs, I think I have played excellently. For whatever that's worth. And we're over 2, which happens. Okay. Warren is a great card, one of my favorites, but it has no power. Turkey Vulture has power, but is absolutely useless to us. We need stuff that can actually win a fight. And so I think we have to take Mantis and Pronghorn. I really want to take Mantis and Warren. But then the Mantis, if it dies, we lose. The game's over. But there is more upside, because the Warren is actually a good card. But it's gotta be Mantis and Pronghorn. Pronghorn actually can win fights that a lot of other cards wouldn't, because it runs around hitting for 2 and dodging some counterattacks. And yeah. We have to go left, right? I don't like going to the trade or trapper thing, but I don't want to give up a card. Yeah. And the campfire's good. Alright, what do we want to buff? Well, if the Mantis ends up being our super 1-drop, probably that. The Pronghorn's pretty good if it has infinite life, but let's make the Mantis more survivable, given that the Mantis is probably our kind of build-around. Notably, we have no answers at all to the first boss right now. Right, we have no tools. Pronghorn is pretty good if it's the Trader Trapper. Okay, so nothing here can hit our Mantis. So I'm going to put it where birds will be in front of it. So actually, I guess, yeah, they will be in front of it. Just to make sure that it doesn't immediately get counter-killed. Okay, now we can get the Pronghorn out, and I think we may as well. I think we may as well start hitting a little with that. And this will move out of the way of the Porcupine. Oh, I have to sack something else, my bad. And these are only 2 damage dealing cards. So, we really need them to come good. Neither of them will kill themselves hitting the Porcupine. So that's something. But we don't want to see another Porcupine. That would be a disaster. I forgot the Porcupine moved. That's not great. But the Mantis will survive. And we have nothing we can draw that does anything, right? We might be able to draw a chump here, but... Right, these are just eggs. Yeah. So every fight, we need our Mantis and Pronghorn to do everything. And we don't even have an option to jump yet. I guess we won't get one next turn because the Pronghorn will kill the Porcupine because they're going to stop moving because it's the birds that move them. Alright, yeah, he will concede here, but we're going to try to get, if it's possible to get some overkill damage, we're gonna try for it. Will we get it? No, we're going to do exactly 10. Yeah, so I may as well take the concession. Oh, I was supposed to use items. I'm an idiot. And then I would have gotten 1 overkill damage as well. Oh no. Okay, well we get the Pack Rat actually. So we get the Pack Rat. That is good because we need cards that... Yeah, I should have been thinking about that anyway. This is a deck where taking the Pack Rat is a 2-2 for 2, as I've said, is actually pretty good here. And later, maybe we can move the Pack Rat ability onto one of the eggs and just have it do something useful while being sacrificial fodder. But for now, actually a 2-2 is... It has 2 power. What more could we ask for? We still have no answer at all to the boss. So right now we're really walking up to the boss, ready to get demolished, with no possibility for a win. Where do we want to go with this? We're going to have to kill the wolf cub. But I think I'm going to put this here and kill it with the Pronghorn. Which we can play. We're not going to use an item this turn, so I don't think we need to. But getting out our first drop lets us play the Curious Egg, lets us play the Pronghorn. It's a rabbit coming down? Or it's a possum. Alright. Well, our Mantis probably dies next turn, which means Pronghorn has to do everything. It will kill that Wolf Cub, though. It's perfectly aligned for the Wolf Cub kill. So we won't need to chump the Wolf Cub. And then it can take out both the Opossum and the Wolf Cub next turn. So our Pronghorn doing work. We go to 5 here, even. Alright, may as well draw a main deck. We do have Pack Rat. I forgot we had Pack Rat. So, actually, let's speed this up a little. And we can draw a new item. Not really relevant to us, but not the worst card in the world. It can chump. Sometimes we run out of chumpers because the Aqua Squirrels can't jump. I forgot we picked up the Rabbit Pelt. That's another thing that can jump. So I think the first run was beautiful and perfect. The second run was slightly more hopeful. This third run is clearly the weakest run of all. And you do on this deck, unlike, say, the Null deck, get some runs where it just feels like you'll never have the tools. I'm going to go K9, hoping for Direwolf or Direwolf Pup. We get Direwolf. Now that's hard to play, but if we do play it, we now have an answer, especially if we up its attack. Can't up its attack. In that case, we have the Pliers, though. So, okay, let's keep making sure. I think Mantises, again, are kind of the central thing we're building around. It's our only 1-drop. One of the advantages of this deck is it doesn't force 1-drops on you. We won't get an item refill before the boss. I think that means we just lose. I think that means there's nothing to play for. No. If we get +1 attack on the Direwolf, then it can solo a lane. It can do it, yeah. Okay, there's still technically a chance. Need a lot of chump blocking, but technically a chance. The Black Goat, kind of helpful. We don't want to waste that because that makes it easier for us to get the Direwolf out. The Direwolf will take... First turn, it will kill a bear. Second turn, it will kill the second bear. If we get it +1 attack. If we don't, it's all over. But if we get it +1 attack... Oh, did I just die? No. Okay. I should have done the math, but we didn't die. We survived. And we can't use items anyway. We really need the items. But I could have pelted to block the wolf. Wolf will die this turn, so that's something. What was I saying? I don't remember. Yeah, so if we get +1 attack on the Direwolf, it's a 3/5 with double strike, so it can take out a bear. The bear hits back, it goes to 1, and then it attacks again, kills that bear, the lane is clear, and then the next turn it kills. Which means we only need to block up the other lanes for 1 turn. They only have 1 turn. No, it attacks, they hit back. It attacks again, they hit back. We need to block for 2 turns. So we need like all our eggs and pelts and all our possible blockers because we need 6 turns of blocking lanes. And that's a big ask. That's a big ask. I wish we didn't kill them this turn. I'd like to have I wish we had drawn the because we could re-roll the Pliers if we draw the Pack Rat. We can re-roll Pliers. And that would give us a chance for a kill item, but we didn't get it. I don't know if I could have delayed that fight. Maybe I could have. The Coyote's terrible here, but we don't have to take it, but the others do nothing. The others do nothing, and I don't want to mess up our drawing 1-drop. So we're taking the Coyote. Really bad card for us here, but this run is pretty doomed. The doomed run. I guess canines? Insects? Not that it matters because we won't get far enough to. Let's go insects. Just the fact that we're going to be trying to draw Mantis first each game means I think it coming with a good ability is more relevant. And we need the campfire to come up. Direwolf, and then we have 3 Curious Eggs, a Rabbit Pelt, 4 potential blockers. Mantis, Pronghorn, Pack Rat gets us to 7. Even if we can never get out the Coyote, which we probably can't, that's 7 blockers. Means we need this to be +1, and we need to get through the first phase without losing anything. This is +1 on attack. So we give that to the Direwolf. And actually, we're going to get more blockers if we kill the... we might be good. We might get through this. Because if we kill the Pack Mule, then it gives us extra cards, and those can jump. So we align the Direwolf there. We can get the Direwolf out easily with the Black Goat. And we can use an Aqua Squirrel to do that. We drew it in our starting hand. That's pleasant. Let's take 2 damage here. Gives us a little more time to spend. We want to spend a little time in the first phase so we can have drawn enough blockers. We need to take a little while here. Yeah, I want to do this slow. So, okay. Let's draw an Aqua Squirrel into Mantis. Get a little damage on the Pack Mule. Mantis probably won't die anytime soon. It will kill the Coyote, and it will kill the Wolf Cub next turn. That's why I was committed to playing it. Because the Wolf Cub will move over and come die. And that Coyote will hit us eventually. Okay, we're going to keep drawing. We need to be drawing things. That's a blocker. That's great. The Coyote will move into the Mantis's fire next turn. So we don't have to worry too much there. If we play the Direwolf this turn, we kill their wolf behind. We have the Boulder to block a hit. I'm going to go for it. This might be too early. Might be too early. We may not have drawn enough cards, but we get rid of the Pack Mule. We won't kill them this turn. And we have... The Direwolf won't take any damage. It will, oh no, we don't get rid of it because the Mantis did a point of damage. I just lost. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Oh. I didn't realize the Mantis would hit the Pack Mule because I didn't actually think. And so I thought we do 3 and then we do 3 more, 1 damage to hit, 2 to overkill. Yeah, I threw this. Oh, this was a really bad mistake. Because now the Direwolf takes damage. So if we're gonna quit out. So you can save scum these, and I just want to show that like we could have done better. Obviously, this run we lost. You know, that's a loss. But I wanna show kind of proof of concept because I messed up. We have to take the wolf pit there. So I don't think I had screwed up that first run. I think the second run, like the first run should have been good, but the cards all came wrong. Okay, it happens. The second run, we just never had the tools. But this run, all right, I'm going to pause to go have dinner. But this run, I threw. This run, I threw. All right, I'm going to pause for a sec. And for you, it'll be no time. And magically, time has passed for me, but not for you. So my point was, yeah, we can play this. Probably shouldn't waste time proving it, but I really think we had this fight if I didn't mess it up here. Because the Mantis setup was so well placed to pick off the Coyote, then the Wolf. And we just have to find the right moment to drop our Direwolf. We can do it whenever, because we have the Black Goat. And the Boulder is helpful. Would be nice if it didn't take a hit, because we will need to block up that square later. Because a Boulder with 5 health can take 2 Grizzly hits. But here, I played the Direwolf, and I have to just hold on. I have to sit here. Or no, I played the Direwolf next turn, right? Because the Pack Mule moves, and then there's the Wolf. So I played it a couple turns from now, right? I played it this turn, yeah. And I shouldn't because the Mantis does a damage I need it not to do. Now, one thing we could do is we could play Black Goat into it now. But I don't think we have enough blockers, right? Using the Mantis, so that would get rid of the Mantis. But it would do no damage this turn. We'd take 2, so we'd go to 5, and we wouldn't kill them next turn either, so we'd have a chance to draw some. So this might still be a mistake, but let's try this one. It's possible I still need to delay another turn or 2 more, because I have the help, but they're so well lined up at this exact moment that I'd love to take advantage of it. And we're going to get a ton new blockers from the Pack Mule. Yeah. Squirrel. Alright. These aren't cheap, but they are potential blockers. That kills that. So we don't even kill them this turn because the Coyote hits us and then blocks 3 of our damage, which is great. Gives us more time to draw. Let's main deck once more. Yeah, get another Curious Egg. That's great. We have the Boulder to block a lane for 1 turn, so we need 5 blockers. We should pretty easily have 5 blockers at this point. Yeah. So we could have had it here. We could have had it. I guess I'll lose now that I've shown proof of concept, but we can. I'll clear out the lane and then blow it. So, for instance, and we could even play. Let's double squirrel, or let's squirrel and an egg into Pack Rat, so we get to draw a new item as well. Yeah. This could have been the run. I could have gotten Hourglass, that's great. And then, let's use, I guess, Rabbit Pelt. So what happens is Direwolf beats one of the Grizzlies, the other Grizzly hits it, then Direwolf will beat that Grizzly, there's no replacement for that, so the turn after that, we win. And so we would just need to block the other 3 lanes. We won't need to block them again because the next turn we win before they counterattack. So all we have to do here is block the other 3 lanes. And we can use the Squirrel because the Squirrel can block. We got a Squirrel off the Pack Mule. So Squirrel, Curious Egg, and we win. Instead, we're going to lose because I screwed up. So actually, one thing that I think is clear here, that we were very lucky to get a Direwolf this time. But all 3 runs have felt like I had a chance to win, right? That doesn't mean I should win all 3, right? If you have, a 25% chance to win, but none of them seemed hopeless. And I think it's nice when the run seems like if I play well, things could come together and I have a chance. And we're 0 for 3. We are 0 for 3. But I think my long-term win rate with this deck is around 1 out of every 7 or so tries. This is a hard challenge. I'm not saying I should beat it anywhere near every run, and I certainly don't. But I think, looking at these runs, it kind of makes sense that would be around my win rate. At least I hope it does. I won 3 out of 20. I checked. When I was keeping track. Okay, so we need power. Grizzly's hard to get out. 3 drops are just tougher than 2 drops. I think we'll go Grizzly and Raven. Maybe we can take the Tadpole, actually. We really need the Grizzly to never die. But if we have the Tadpole, we just have another thing that's very easy to sacrifice into stuff. It does use up the fair hand mechanic, right? We're guaranteed to draw that. And maybe if we can pump it up or do something useful with it. But we don't want to lose cards, so we're definitely going to the right. Now, if we have no confidence in ourselves, we should up the Grizzly twice here and risk losing it. If we lose it, we just lose the challenge and end the run. And if it works, though, it becomes a 6/6, and it can single-handedly clear the boss, right? Because it can beat its own lane. It can do 6 damage and take a hit. And I'm actually going to go for it. Because I don't like the start. This is probably too risky. Yeah, we get punished. Okay, 0 for 4. But a lot of people do this when running the Mantis God. is they take the 50% risk that the run just is dead immediately, and the 50% chance the run is a lot better. I think our odds of beating this are in general low enough that probably we should take risks like that. But a 5/6 grizzly bear is pretty good. Like, but it's not that much better than a 4/6. And getting up to 6 is worth a lot. We're just losing here, by the way. We cannot possibly do damage except with our tadpole evolving, and that does 1 a turn, and that will not possibly win this fight, nor will it possibly win the game. So we lose. 0 for 4. Obviously, a short run. I'm not sure we did wrong, right? I think you can argue that either way. Time-wise, we definitely did the right thing because you just get to move on to a run immediately, and if it comes good, the run is so much better. But for a run-by-run stat, like, did we increase our odds of winning the run? I'm not sure, right? If our odds of beating a run on this deck is like 1%, then it was a smart move. If our odds of beating the run are 50%, well, we just took our 50% chance of losing immediately. We need to win 100% of the time we do it. It's a terrible move. Do it and get it to come good. So, like, if you think it's close to 0%, then it's a correct move. If you think it's close to 50%, it's a terrible move. If you think it's about 15%, which is what I think it is, then I'm not sure which way to go on it. 0 for 4. Okay. Nothing here is an answer to the boss. Skink is a good card to build around, so let's have that as our 1-drop. And maybe the Raven or the Mud Turtle. Mud Turtle, I like Mud Turtle more than most people. It's like not a great card, obviously. It's, a 2/2 that sort of plays like, say, a 2/4 or a 2/3 or 2/5, something like that. Not amazing. But I do like moving the ability to other things. Okay. We don't really want to move it to the Skink. Campfire is nice on the Skink. I see we have items up ahead. We're probably going to take an item on the next one. So if we could start upping the Skink's stats, that could be really nice. But we still also need an answer for the boss, which we're not close to having. So the question is, do I want to pack rat or to up the Skink's stats? I'm not going to try for double again. Like, if you get up to a 3/2 Skink, that's incredible. But I think I'm not going to play that optimistically, so let's just grab the pack rat for now. Also, pack rat ability is nice to put on the Skink, because it can regenerate 2 items, basically, at a time. So let's take a pack rat, always useful. I like the pack rat. I normally try to clear out items, because regenerating your items is even more valuable, but pack rats are, in most decks, a good addition. And we get a little more power, right? We now have a total of 5 power. That's going to jump in front of attacks, which means, okay, we'll play Squirrel. Oh, we should be clearing out our items this one. So actually, it's just going to jump in front of. We'll put the Mud Turtle far left. We want to put the Mud Turtle to the left of the Skink here. That's pretty important, because it will jump in front of the first thing that attacks, and we attack left to right. So if we hit it with the Skink, we would do 1, and then the Mud Turtle would kill it. Here, the Mud Turtle will kill it, and then the Skink will do 1 to the face. A little risky to put both our things on board, because if they happen to block up both lanes, or like put down an adder or something, but they're birds, they won't put down an adder. You could get screwed because they're most of our damage dealing capacity. I wasn't actually thinking. We don't actually really want to do damage here. We don't want damage because I want to draw item. Okay, so we get to play the pack rat. This will obviously, I won't get much overkill here, but I wanted to see what item I draw. All right, we don't need that, but it gave us an extra chance to draw a good item. This is run number 5, I think. This deck is worse than the others, but that first one could have been it. Could have been it. And I think the second and third, like, we beat the first boss every time, right? Or we should have beat it, except last one I screwed up. I don't really want a 1-drop. I don't really like Bones Cost. We're definitely going to take a 2-drop here. All right, the Red Heart's steamy garbage, but it is a card. And this is a deck where we want cards that have the capacity to do damage. None of these help us much. Let's take a Squirrel. And none of these help us. Let's take Black Goat, I guess. Alright, we're going to need more items later. This run is not shaping up to be the run. We're also going to hit a sacrifice in a sec, so hopefully we grab something that would be nice to put on the skink. But we need a card that we don't have, right? We need to... Right. It's going to be really hard for us to do damage, which means it's hard for us to outpace the Raven. So I am going to actually use the Black Goat this turn to get the Mud Turtle out a little sooner, just so we get a little head start on damage. And we don't really need our items, I just didn't want to use both in case the next fight is tougher. But they're going to be blocking our attacks. But given that we won't be able to do damage for a few turns, because they will block all our attacks for a while. Yeah, so we go to 3 here, but that's okay. And the reason I put the Mud Turtle in front of the Raven was to guarantee that it would be able to kill it. Alright, so we should be good. I'm just trying to draw the Pack Rat. And I don't particularly want to kill them quickly, so we're not optimizing killing them all. Because our goal was the Pack Rat. And we have used an item, so we do regenerate an item slot. It's just nothing. I think this one we won't have an answer for the first boss, for the first time. I guess the Mud Turtle doesn't hit them this turn, so this is going to get more damage through. Oh, they'll jump in front no matter where I go. So, yeah, I cannot actually get through damage for this. This made no difference. I was thinking move the damage to the center right lane, because that one's unblocked, but they just jump in front. Alright, we're going to be 0-4-5 in a moment, I think. But we're certainly going to play it out. Something that can beat the boss. Now, you could say there are huge red heart combos where we can set that up, but we need something recurring, and we don't have that. I'll take the Raven here. I don't want to mess with Skink as our 1-drop. I really like Skink. So we have to lose a card here. I hate the red heart. It just sucks. We'll chuck the red heart to one of the eggs. That's fine. It's not like having movement on the egg makes any difference. It's just sacrifice fodder anyway. So the eggs are a nice place to just be able to dump off cards we don't want. Oh, we won't even get an item before the boss. Great. So one thing to do here is we gotta delay the fight to get Pack Rat out. We have to land Pack Rat. Also, we won't be able to kill our elks here. They're elks here, so there's a chance we just lose. But our goal should be to land Pack Rat. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to stick a boulder in front of the elk, I think. I'm not going to use both our items because I'm going to try to save one for the boss, but I think we just lose here. Right? We can't kill their elks. And we can't really get damage through. I guess we can with the Raven. So, okay, let's get the Raven out. We'll put the boulder in front of their elk. And I guess they'll hit the Raven for more once they've evolved. So I'll actually put it here. And maybe we have a chance to outpace them. Right? We don't take damage this turn. So as long as we block both elks next turn, the Raven is enough to win with flying. So I think we get through this fight. Yeah, that's a blocker. That does it. So we survived this fight. But this is not the deck. regret that first run. But really, I regret the last run, the third run. The third run. Because that was the one where I blew it against the boss. And once you make it past the first boss, like, if the cards come good, you have a chance, right? You always have a chance if you get through that. Here, we need this card to be incredible. We need it to come ready-made to beat a boss. And it is not there. So we definitely lose here. Now, you could say, why am I not quitting out? But if you said that, that would be because you're not used to this mod. If you quit out and reset, it gives you a possum for one of the 2 cards you get to pick up. Ooh, Bifurcated Strike. That would be nice if this mattered. And we got the hardest first boss as well. The Trapper Trader combo. Just get rid of stuff. Make it quick. I guess, do we technically have a chance? Should I be trying here? Porcupine on the Skink is a kind of funny ability. I've never had that. No, we're going to put Pack Rat on the Skink. No, but we still have no outs because we still just don't have the damage to beat the Grizzly Wall. Even if we get just perfect items, we lose, right? Is that true? If we got 2 Turners, could we potentially do 5 damage down a lane? Even then, no. If we got something that empties a lane and an Hourglass, but we can only do 2 damage in a lane. So I think we have no outs. Also, they have flying, which means we can't block them or get the Skink to go off twice anyway. All right, so we lose. It's worth thinking if there have definitely been games I've chucked where I just assumed it was over, and I'm sure there were outs. But here I think there are not outs. All right, 0 for 5. This deck is widely considered one of the 2 worst. I would have it as the 3rd worst, and pretty clearly above those 2. But I think this is a deck where a decent number of runs, you have a decent shot to win. And I think runs 1, 2, and 3 were pretty good, and these last 2 runs have been bad, as the technical term goes. If someone's struggling with Skullstorm, you can just, at this stage, you can see the cards they show and you can reset there. I don't do so. I avoid all resets now, but I did do that for a bit. I don't like the stuff coming up. We have to take a pickaxe or a pelt place. That's annoying. Anyway, what do we got? We got nothing. The thing to remember, we need power. Black Goat into Great White. The Great White doesn't die. That does give you an answer to random fights. I think we'll just do it. We'll maybe pick up some 3-drops later, try to switch into a Black Goat deck. But it's not where I want to be. Alright, probably pick up a Pack Rat, and then we can fill up items again. And we avoid all the squares I hate. Okay, let's go left. So the Great White basically doesn't die, because it dodges underwater, and it does 4 a hit, which is quite powerful. The problem is this is completely useless against the Grizzlies, because against the Grizzlies, if it dodges counterattacks, that means we're just getting hit in the face for 4, right? That damage goes to the face. And so you just lose, right? It's not a sufficient answer. Okay, one thing nice about this game is usually when it puts a Wild Bull as a starter for the opponent, it is almost always blocked by a Snowy Fur. Or I think always. Okay, that is sufficient. We should be using up our items anyway to redraw them. I forgot about that. So nice that I was reminded by getting the Pack Rat. And yeah, I will play it this way. I'm going to keep the goat up because that's the most efficient way to get our Great White out. Okay, and I'm going to make sure we're empty on items, so I'm going to pick that up now. And I think that will be like the only thing they throw at us because it's the first fight of the game. Things to keep in mind. Black Goat is our only one drop. So, do I actually want to play that this turn? No. I want to hit them twice with the pack rat, or once with the pack rat, and play it this turn. So this turn the pack rat takes them to 9, and then I do 5 overkill damage rather than just 3. So like the Great White definitely has its pluses, right? 4 power thing that doesn't die is very scary against us. But for us, just not being able to block means it loses some races if they just like block up the row a bit. The fact that it doesn't block is painful. All right, these cards are not good. We'll take the elk, so we can get the elk out. We are not getting beautiful selections. So the fan plus the magical bleach works, or the pliers plus anything that clears a lane, because we already have 4 damage from the Great White. This does clear a lane, so we now have an answer to the boss. If we can beat stage 1 of the boss with our Great White in the center left, then we win. Okay, we might be in good shape. We might be in good shape. Probably going to just get the center left out immediately. They go underwater, so it's going to be really tough to block them doing anything. We need to not use items because we need both our items for the boss. And we can be drawing main deck because if we draw eggs, those are also helpful for us for getting our 2 drops out. Don't particularly need the pack rat here because I do not want to redraw on either of my items. We don't kill them this turn, so we'll take 3. We could make it take 1 this turn. 3 is fine. Our Great White is even paced with their 2 elks, so we're going to need, once the elk fawn evolves, so we're going to need a little more power. And their elks are going to run around hitting stuff, but we'll have an elk running around in a moment. Okay, that's not it. That's okay. Hopefully they don't send anything else down. I don't like the Great White at all, but actually I feel like it's pretty valuable to us right now. And again, different decks want different things, and I think that's really neat. That with just 3 cards, you can make. Alright, I don't want to figure out the overkills. That with just 3 cards, and just 3 out of the 5 you first see, it can be so usefully influential to the choices you make. Like, it really is impactful to them. Let's go insect. Maybe we'll get, like, well, that wasn't it. That's a really unpleasant 1-drop because it's hard for us to get rid of because we can't use it at these sacrificial altars. So actually, okay, the Black Goat is our 1-drop. We can move the Black Goat's ability onto the ant, and then that will just replace it as 1-drop, and we won't have to give up anything we need. Yeah, I think that's got to be the pick. We're now pretty committed to this worker ant, which is like not an amazing card, right? It can't have another ability added to it. But what we're gonna do? All right, so we want to beat this fight without using items. If we do use items, we do have another chance to redraw, but it would really be preferable if we could beat it without it. And we should beat them. Okay. So you'll see this time the Wild Bull is not facing into something that blocks it. But we can take a hit for 3, and the rabbits will block up the other lanes, which means we don't have to worry about blocking them. They played another rabbit behind it, but even if they hadn't, we don't have to worry about those lanes. So I can take time to draw. and I'm going to pass. And then the wild bull will come back, and now we'll draw an aqua squirrel and we'll pick it off. But I'm not going to do so. I'm not going to draw with the pack rat a new item because I don't want to mess with our item selection. Right, you switch even the pliers for something, and suddenly we might not have a chance for lethal. Alright, that will kill our thing, but that's okay. So they're going to be at 5 here. Alright, I'm gonna get the great white out. Might not be technically the best, but we're not gonna figure it out. It will finish the fight more quickly than waiting any longer, will though. And I would rather go see how we do on the final. I'm gonna take a hit from the elk here. We'll go to 4. We'll go up to 8. We'll go down to 6. They're gonna go. Yeah, so we can block, I guess. Yeah, let's just jump. Or actually, no. Why are we doing that? Let's kill him. The killing him does nothing. Because we're just going to move out of the way after and not hit for more damage next turn. This actually doesn't get through any more damage than jumping would have. Elk is not a... I mean, there's a lot of cards that are like, if this is in your deck, sure, it's okay value for the cost. Like, it's not making a difference either way. It's a card in your deck. It's fine. I don't think Elk is like a terrible card, but it's really low impact. So we don't need items. My instinct is go right, then left. That gives us the most card choice. We don't have any totem stuff. Do we have any sacrifices we actually want to make? Not really, but maybe we'll pick up a card that does. And it wouldn't be the end of the world to put the pack rat ability at some point on one of the eggs, though we probably don't want to yet. Okay, this gives us another big target. We were able to create mana, so I think we want the moose buck here. And given that's the case, we have the Trapper. Well, the moose buck is great against the Trapper. It can just go back and forth cleaning out the rows and not dying to the traps until the second time round. So we got +2 health. Doesn't make any difference on the great white, right? The great white doesn't die anyway. Probably the elk. What else are we putting this on? We could just make a really thick moose buck. But I think we want the elk to be able to take an extra hit. I think that'll be more useful in the long run. So our goal here is we need the great white in exactly the center left. I forget what I was planning to sacrifice here. Did it have anything to do with the elk? I hope not. I was going to put the pack rat on something else, but probably one of the eggs, just to make the eggs have a little more impact. While we're sacrificing them, they can reset an item. So I think the ideal hand would be to have the moose buck, and obviously we'll have the ant that's working like a goat. And so we can play the moose buck, and it can kill something, move to the left, or move to the right, and just finish off their whole board. Alright, we got the great white instead. Now the great white is not what we want. So they have this ability. This ability is jump in front of attacks. No, it's when a card is placed opposite. We don't really have a way to do something about that. Yeah. I think we just lose. This is not the draw we needed. Because I can't play the egg this turn. I can get the ant out this turn. And the ant won't die this turn. So I can block 1 point of damage. And I can make them get in each other's way a bit. So that blocks a second point of damage. All right, so that already blocked a point of damage. So we're going to take 2 this turn. So we could draw, or I could put the ant out this turn, which means I have to sacrifice it next turn or it just dies for nothing. But if we draw the moose, we're in great shape there, right? Because we only take 1 damage this turn. Otherwise, we take 2. We have a chance to draw. We might have more outs in that situation, but I don't really think we do. So I'm going to put the ant here. So we'll only take 1 this turn. Gives us a little more time, but we really have very little time because the worker ant, and we still exactly need the great white to do it. So we need this to be moosebuck. It's not moosebuck. All right, we have to let ant go down. We'll be at 2. We can't draw anything there either. I think we have no outs at this point. I could sack a curious egg to block. No, we do have outs. I can use the turner or the pliers because we can draw a new item, so we have a second chance to try to get something. So the turner is a better item, but I think I'm actually going to use it because that stops more stuff. I have an idea. Okay, I'm going to put the great white here. I'm going to do this first so they can't move around. Then I'm going to use the turner. And now we're going to play. We got our great white without a strange frog opposing it. We'll take a little damage here, which is great because it means we have longer in this phase. We eat that strange frog. That's fine. We should get a pelt out of that. We do. And we have a chance to draw. What do we need? We need our other curious egg. We got it. So we need it to spawn a good item. If it does, we're good. If it doesn't, we're not. I'm going to let another turn go by just to see where I want to put it. But we need it to spawn something that clears the great white's lane. And because of where I put the great white, if we get another turner, so if we get a turner or we get scissors, we still win. There are 2 items. It's like a 2 and 8 or 9 shot. It's low. It's a low chance. Now, maybe I could have used the pliers and still survived, but I thought that was going to be really scary. So I didn't go for it. So we have a very low chance, but there is a chance. We gave ourselves an out here. And I think I'm proud of that. So we're going to finish it this turn. Let's put it down and see. The hourglass. That doesn't do it. Yeah, we can clear some lanes, but that doesn't do it. So I'll do what I can here, but it's just not enough. So we have so okay. The win would be we use the hourglass. We get 1 off the pliers. So the great white does 4 to the grizzly, and then it does 4 again and kills the thing behind it. Or it does 2 to the thing behind it, 2 from overkill. Then the moosebuck hits that. The moosebuck only does 3. So we could put the moosebuck on the far left. No, the great white never dies. We get hit through it. So the Great White will clear it out. We'll take 4 damage, but we'll survive that. So we just need to block other lanes. If we block other lanes long enough, we do win. If we block other lanes long enough. And it doesn't really matter the damage in other lanes. That's the lane where we're get enough damage to win. So for now, I'll put the Wolf Pelt here. I'll put the Curious Egg here. And we'll use both of these early. I don't think we get there. I think we just don't have enough blockers. Because we have to last so many turns. But this gives us a turn. That's not much. Pass, yeah. But we only need to block 1 turn. I'm so glad actually that we have the 2/6 on the elk. We lose here. But if we had like 2 more blockers, I think we win. I think we win with 2 more blockers. And I think we'll see why in a sec. So we take 4 there, which sucks. Again, the Great White's a bad card. We go to 2. But 2 is only 2 hits away from winning with the Great White. And, so we can't actually, we don't have enough aqua swirls here. So I can play, yeah, we just lose. My point was, I was thinking we can play the Moose Buck, that blocks 1 square. We can play the Elk, that blocks another square, but we can't play the Elk. We can play the Curious Egg, that blocks a 3rd square. So we would take 0 if I could play the Elk here. We'd clear out the Grizzly lane, and then both the Moose Buck and the Elk will survive another hit. So we'd only need to block that 4th lane 1 more time. No, 2 more times. 1 more time. Whatever. We didn't get there. Okay. Run number 5 down. We did clear a lane successfully, though. That's something. And we only die by -2 here. Yeah. Alright, not that close. We didn't get one of the 2 cards we needed, but we gave ourselves outs. That's something. 0 for 5, I think? Is that 0 for 6? No, that's 0 for 6. That's 0 for 6. Alright, I think 1 more try for now. That first one was by far the most hopeful. We got a Mantis God the first one. Man. That's like beyond my aspirations for this deck. I do like this deck. I do think it's kind of a fun start. Be kind. Today's not my day. Alright, Instinct is Wolf and Elk Fawn. Just to get something with power and something that, like, has some impact on the board. Beaver is a funny combo with a bunch of things. Maybe we'll draw a funny combo with Beaver. No, that's asking for too much. Let's take 2 things that can actually do some damage. Right? The Elk Fawn can do 2 a turn once it evolves. I guess we got to go left. We don't want to lose a card here. Not a good looking start. If there's a high risk here, I probably will take the risk and go for, and like just die immediately if we don't get it. Yeah, there's a campfire coming up. So I'm probably going to play high risk here just because I think our equity is very low. But if, for instance, we could get 2+1s on the wolf and the wolf was a 5/2, then our equity is quite good. But if the wolf is a 4/2, it's not doing very much. So I think that's kind of how we got to play it. We're going to be taking the campfire. We're not getting items here. So no need to use my items. I just put it where I'll kill the flying ant next turn. I like clearing the board. Makes it easier. Usually the right thing to do. Not always. Nice that the ant will get in the way of the other one, because ants' powers increase the more there are. Alright, I'm just going to clear them out, because they're going to hit me for 4 in a couple turns, but if I take them out this turn, they shall not. So we need our wolf to be the star this time. If we get a health plus, I guess it doesn't matter so much what we do. I probably won't take a risk if we get a health plus, just because the payoff is low. Getting the wolf up to 6 health would be obviously really nice, because then it could take a hit, but it's still so far from being able to beat the grizzlies. I'd probably put it on the elk. We get some card that's real. Alright, Mantis is the best card here, and we don't have a 1-drop. Oh, we do have a 1-drop, but Mantis is the best card here. And we like the Mantis card. If we get a health jump, we probably put it on the Mantis now. Maybe the Elk Bond still makes sense, just so it survives a turn before things go wrong. I will not take a risk. I just think the upside is so low, but it is an excuse to rage quit, right? If you take the coin flip and don't get it, you go, nothing I could do or whatever, and you rage quit. But like, I think not worth it, right? We don't actually, like, if we have to rage quit if we lose it, which I guess don't. I guess it just doesn't make much impact either way. Just we're playing with very low odds all around. I should use the pliers here because we'll probably go grab items in a sec. But we don't have an answer to the first boss at all right now, and we're not even that good at beating the trash mobs either. So, an ideal start. The Mantis is really nice at picking off these things that move around, because if they aren't lined up with it this turn, they will be next turn. I should have taken a squirrel, whatever. So we're at 6. We go to 7. If I play the wolf, I win here. So I think I'm gonna hold out slightly just to get a little overkill, though it won't matter. Like, this run's not going far. I've lost all confidence. I'm a broken man. We have enough to play the wolf. What is the other card in our deck? The Elk Fawn. We can play the Elk Fawn. And let's put it in the corner where it won't actually leave, because the Elk Fawn doesn't push other stuff out of the way. So you can, it's easier to force it to stay still. Alright, we are going to lethal them this turn, so now would be a good time to get the wolf out for the extra damage. And of course we put it far left. So I think I got too enthused at the start of this, where like I had a pretty easy time on the bones. I had just a wonderful time with the null deck, second try. And then this one I was thinking, like, this not very good deck, maybe I'll just get it first try, that would be great. That is not what we got. Right, 2/3 or bones. In general, like, bones is not that rewarding for us. I don't really think we can afford the recost stuff. Another wolf. Okay. That gives us some potential. This is only map 2 that the mycologist appears, but if we can combine our wolves, that's real equity. All right. So normally the wrench gives us more outs, but we only have 3 damage at a time. If we, however, get this and the fan, yeah, okay, we now have a way to beat the boss. Because this, we only need 5 damage anywhere on the board. So either of our wolves plus either the mantis or the elk, once it becomes an elk, we can now beat the first boss. All right, we have a path to beat the first boss, and we have it a number of different ways. We're not reliant on any specific card. If we lose one of our wolves, we have the other wolf. If we pair the wolf with a wolf, we have it. If we pair a wolf with either of our other cards, we also have it. So I'm going to put the elk fawn behind the stump so that it moves for the turn it's going to hit for 2. Kind of silly looking play. No, I should have just put on the far right. What am I doing? I was trying to be fancy, and that was just silly. Okay. And now we can't play the wolf this turn because it will die. So let's wait a turn. And we'll get hit for 4 here. Oh, and we're going to kill the stump, which is annoying because that makes this hit us for 1 more next turn. We're going to get hit for just 1 next turn if we kill one of their coyotes. In fact, we have a choice here. Yeah, I'm going to go this way. This seems the same thing to do. It's a shame we killed that stump. I should have put the elk in the far right. That was silly. Oh, that adder is mean. Alright, we're at 1. Not ideal. I can't put the mantis. So we're going to go up to 4. The elk will move over. We'll go to 3. So I don't need to play the mantis this turn. So I'm going to draw. Sadly, the wolf dies. We might just lose here, which would be a shame because we actually finally had an answer to the boss. Okay. That's 3. I guess we do a real draw. Okay, and now I was going to Curious Egg into Mantis. And just put the Mantis center left. It won't kill the Bullfrog, but it will next turn, and we only take 2 damage here, which we survive. We're at 3. It's a shame to waste a point of damage on the elk. Actually, the elk blocks an attack. I totally missed that. But the Mantis outpaces the adder, and we only take 1 here, so we go to 2. So we're good. Let's draw a real card. It's going to be a Curious Egg anyway. Alright, so we outpace the adder. If they don't play anything else, and I think they're out at this point, we made it through and we didn't have to use an item. It's perfect. And what's the optimal? What's the optimal? We kill. We're currently at 2. Kill that. We'll go to 4, 9. Yeah, we should kill this one. We should kill the adder because this will be after this turn. We'll be at 4. After next turn, we'll be at 9, and hitting from 9 does maximum overkill. All right. You concede. Cool. I'm actually pretty enthused. I think this run has pulled out a chance. Now we needed like the perfect item draw to get there, but I think I made a good decision on what items could get me there, and now we have a legitimate chance. I didn't pay attention to what the first boss is because I never do. I really should, because there are some differences in what cards you want. I should probably be able to recognize the background. Where do we want to go? Do we want to sacrifice anything? I have nothing I want to sacrifice. I need all our cards. We don't need new items. We could get a pack rat. So the question is, do we want a pack rat and a tribal draw, or a choice and 2 wood carvers? I'm going to take the wood carvers. We already have a elk head, which is not amazing, but it's something. Okay. This guy can hit for 4. That's another potential power, right? That can do work. We have the Angler. The Angler's pretty easy to set up on. Alright, so this would be a boost for our elk fawn. We didn't get anything good, but we did get the canine head. Right? And I think we have canines. Did I just forget what cards we have? We have 2 wolves, right? Yeah. So we have 2 wolves, so this would be a boost for either of our wolves. So if we can get any ability here, we could put it on both our wolves or on our elk fawn, depending on what it is. And we got Make Bones or Evolve. Well, the elk fawn already evolves, but let's put Evolve on our wolves. That means if they last a turn, they suddenly get up to 4 power. I think they go from 3-2 to 4-3. They don't have a specific thing they evolve into, but that's not bad. Evolve isn't a great ability, but we can work with that. I think we're going to beat the first boss. And if we beat the first boss, anything is possible. But I don't think we have a good deck, but I think we have one we can keep, playing with. So a good final run for the day. I think this is run 7. We drew 2 wolves. We're going to pass our first turn, right? Almost always pass against the angler. We've gotten no luck any of these runs with the Angler Kingfisher location. It's like 1 out of 4 that the Kingfishers get in each other's way. That's not such bad odds. And we actually, as long as we get out like 2 wolves or a wolf and an elk fawn, like we have enough damage. We don't need it in any specific row because we remove their ability to block flying and then we give everything flying. Don't misclick here. So actually, I don't need to like slow play this, I don't think. Maybe I start with the elk fawn because the elk fawn plus the wolf is enough. And this way I don't kill them too quickly, right? Because we still need to get something else out. And we have to draw a few squirrels to do that. So I think this is, I think it works either way, but I think this is a little more organized. Yeah, so they'll take the aqua squirrel. We'll still get hit by the kingfisher, but we're not in danger of getting outpaced. And we put down a wolf, and I think that's it. I think that's a boss down. And I'm curious what the wolf evolves into, because I am not actually... There are lots of cards that have interactions that if you haven't seen them before, you just won't know what they'll do. But I think if it doesn't have a thing it evolves into that's like built in, then it becomes elder whatever, and I think it's just +1/+1. I actually let the other kingfisher get back into it, but that's okay. We'll KO them this turn. Elder wolf +1/+2. I didn't know that. Also, important to note, even though because it's Skullstorm, we start all fights at 4 health or -1, depending on how you want to say it. I switch back and forth how I say it. Second phases of fights always go back to even or 5, which is great. Let's get some overkill here, even. Pretend like, this is easy. We had this all under control. I guess it would have been better if I had found a way to get the wolf out the prior turn, just so it would elder, but it doesn't matter. Our turn order on using these doesn't matter. And let's use the fan. Our only outs. We now sneak through. The magic bleach taking away abilities can do some really funny effects, like on the final boss of either the moon or the pirate ship. It can completely neuter it. Alright, boss down. Do I like our deck? Not particularly, but do we have some good wolves now? Yes. Right? Our wolves now have 4 power, essentially, or potential for 4, which gets them close to the key of being able to do 5. Alright, I think this is an easy skink. Now I would love to get rid of our elk fawn to make sure we draw the skink, and I would love to start upgrading our skink. What do we need for our next world? I would love a really good 1-drop, which is probably our skink. We need item refill, that's on the right. We might get a really good 1-drop from the cave on the right anyway. And ideally, like 1 more point of power into our wolves. The mycologist would do that, it would combine them. Some tutoring would be great, but this is asking for a lot. All right. 4 power, 4 blood, or 6 hearts. Hearts, we have 3, 5, 6, 9, 11, 14, 16. Power, I think this only counts as 1. So say 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 9. And that's just a 3-to-2 ratio. And blood, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9. I think it's all exactly the same. I'm going to go power. I feel like power today. I have faith in our wolves. Let's get a wolf. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Would we have won any of them? We wouldn't have won any. Okay. We didn't even get 5 health. But we get an item refill. So this was a good... I'm We actually have another item refill coming up. The pliers is now more valuable because we can do 4 damage, but not that valuable. So we're definitely going to use our items on the next fight, and there's a refill up ahead. All right, so this was a bad opening to this area, right? We saw the items, but we didn't get the items. We had potential to get a busted card. We didn't get the card and didn't have access to it. But that said, hard to feel too bad about this. Do I want to try to kill the pronghorn? Well, I don't have a ton of choice. So yeah, because anywhere I'd try to kill it would be moving into its attack, and I don't want to move into its attack. So I'm going to put it on the far right, and we're going to use the item, so may as well use it now. Because it's going to step out of where the pronghorn would hit. Fights are going to be tough because our deck is bad. A good principle, right? If we draw the wolf, that would be great. We have a bunch of wolves. If we draw the wolf, we could take out the pronghorn. Ideal. And then we evolve, which will mean it can take out the mole in a single hit, though the mole will have taken some damage by then. The Curious Eggs are good cards. Like, it's just nice to have extra squirrels in your starting hand. It lets you play higher cost stuff. I mean, they're not good cards, but they certainly have uses. It's fun that the Elk Fawn's going to be stuck. I didn't plan that out, but it means... And it's fun that they put another Elk Fawn behind it, because that Elder Wolf is going to clean up. And it just means we can main deck draw more, which is really nice. Let me get the skink out. So I think it's fun to play decks that are busted, and we've had a few busted decks, though not today. It's obviously fun to play decks that are busted, but I like playing these kind of mid-tier decks where you have like some good wolves and like a skink, some good cards that aren't like this does everything at once and wins you the game. It's fun to try to play these as far as you can. These decks very rarely win, though they can, but they're fun. I should have main decked. What am I doing? We're going to lethal them this turn, so we may as well maximize damage. I don't know why I put the squirrel there. I guess this, or for the elk. Either way, I do 1 extra damage. Oh no, this is 2 extra damage because I cleared out the fur. I didn't think of that. Right, we easily have enough teeth if the stuff comes up. Get another item refill. Hopefully this one's more generous. Definitely go to the right here. There's a case for going left. I should have thought about that, because we do have the canine totem. Alright, Corpse Maggots is nice. I can make something cheaper. We can make something come out more easily. And we get a second chance at items. We'll have some interesting options of whether to go left or right up ahead. Alright, that's not it, but we know the fan can go with the bleach. And we got the Turner. Okay. 5 damage to a lane. Can we do 5 damage to a lane? We cannot. The wolf can do 4. The bell kraken can do 4. But the mantis can make that 5. So we do have ways to beat the boss. We do have ways to beat the boss, but we need the mantis plus either the tentacle. We need the mantis and 1 of 3 other cards in the deck. And the wolf needs to have been out for a turn. Okay. I guess same as last time, we try to put the elk fawn somewhere where it doesn't get hit. I guess we'll put it here, have it hit the boulder, and hit the empty square for 2 damage next turn. Because I'd rather that than... I guess we could have set it up to hit the pronghorn, but I think we'll be able to... Like, if we draw a wolf here, we can go for the pronghorn more directly. Right? No, we can't. What am I doing? Alright, well, nothing else can enter the battlefield this turn. Oh, yes, it can. What am I doing? Alright, we take 2. No good. And we do none back. Oh, we just... What? What am I doing? Oh, brain's gone. We had to chump someone. Oh, okay. Well, um, mistakes were made, and I think that's 7 runs failed on this one. I think the first was definitely the closest. This last one I liked, I enjoyed, and we'll call it there. That's that wasn't a great way to go out. Just not counting stuff. We did draw badly, like I had to chump there, but like you can chump there. We have multiple eggs. Uh, Avoid 1 point of damage and hopefully draw into something good. We really needed the skink. The skink would have solved a lot of problems. Oh well. I like the Elder Wolves.